For our
Yes.
viewers, quickly, what is the felony murder law so they understand what it is and what
Sure.
changes has come about as because of the passage of this bill?
Yes. So the felony murder rule is actually a really old, it's a really old part of our criminal statute. It's been around really as long as we've had a criminal statute. And it's, I would say, archaic in that we had a law that allowed an individual to be convicted of first-degree murder if they were participating in what's called a forcible felony. So it might be like an armed robbery or a burglary, certain types of burglary. They're out with their friends, they're doing crime, they're breaking the law. And in the course of doing the activity, the breaking and entering, whatever they're doing, someone dies. Maybe it's one of the co-defendants. Maybe it's a police officer shows up and shoots and kills one of the co-defendants. Maybe it's the victim of the forcible felony fights back and kills one of the co-defendants. Maybe it's a car accident in flight from the site, and it could really be an accident. All of the co-defendants involved in the underlying felony now able to be prosecuted for first-degree murder, which in Illinois, it's our most serious crime, and it carries the longest criminal sentence. So you can imagine in the 90s in particular, but going through to this day, how a statute like that could be used to encourage, some might say forcibly encourage cooperation, plea deals. It could be used to scoop up 5 or 6 co-defendants instead of just focusing on one in a particular incident. Really what it does is it takes young people who are often in these sort of co-D situations, these co-defendant situations, and exposes them to the most extreme punishment in our state. The next question was, I think, Tracy, so how did it change? So for any sort of legal nerds, I'm not a lawyer. So I translate lawyer, but I'm not a lawyer. So I will just give that little disclaimer. But basically, the rest of the country, many, many, many other states have a felony murder policy, but it's narrower. And the burden of proof, the standard of what a prosecutor has to show in order to charge felony murder, to charge first-degree murder, for someone who's just involved in the underlying offense, the underlying kind of non-murder offense, that is something that other states have dealt with. And they've changed to what they call an agency theory, which means the individual would have to have some, it's kind of logical, agency in the situation. They would have to have some knowledge. They would have to have some sense that this is where this incident was going. In Illinois, we use what a minority of states use, which is sort of considered the old way, which is called the proximate cause theory. And that's, you're there, you were part of it, doesn't matter how, you're in trouble. So for murder. So to be clear, the opposition was sort of, we've abolished the felony murder rule, murderers, we can't catch murderers. Well, that's not true, right? We didn't abolish the felony murder rule. We still have a felony murder rule. It's just a slightly narrower one. It's one where you can no longer be arrested for first-degree murder if you were just along for the ride.